Donald Trump was told his name's in the Epstein files, and now a top DOJ official is meeting with Gishlaine Maxwell behind bars. Plus, did President Obama help cook up a fake intel report on Russia? The claim from America's top spy and why she's calling it a treasonous conspiracy. And Uber's new move to protect women, the tap that lets you choose who's behind the wheel. The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. More fallout this morning over the still sealed Jeffrey Epstein files and new questions about what led the Justice Department to block their release. The Wall Street Journal was first to report that Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump in May that his name appears in the files, just days before the Justice Department announced it would not release them. That report is now fueling Democratic demands for Bondi to testify before Congress. Meanwhile, the House Oversight Committee is voting to subpoena the DOJ after 3 Republicans crossed the aisle to join Democrats in an 8-2 vote. The files would be sent to Congress, not made public, with victims' names redacted. Subpoenas are also heading to several high-profile names: former President Bill Clinton, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, 2 former FBI directors, and 6 former attorneys general. Epstein associate Gishlaine Maxwell has been ordered to sit for a deposition next month at the prison where she's serving a 20-year sentence for sex trafficking. According to multiple reports, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche may meet with Maxwell today in Florida. The nation's top intelligence official is accusing former President Barack Obama of what she calls a treasonous conspiracy. Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard made the allegation Wednesday from the White House briefing room, claiming Obama and members of his administration manufactured a false intelligence assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help Donald Trump.
The implications of this are far-reaching and have to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. It has to do with an outgoing president taking action to manufacture intelligence to undermine and usurp the will of the American people in that election and launch what would be a years-long coup against the incoming President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Earlier this month, Gabbard declassified a redacted congressional report she says supports her claims. That report originally concluding that Russia did interfere in 2016. It is now being re-examined. While Gabbard stopped short of directly accusing Obama of treason, she claims evidence pointed to him, quote, leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the Justice Department will form a task force to review the evidence and determine potential next legal steps. A spokesperson for former President Obama called the allegations bizarre and a, quote, weak attempt at distraction from growing questions over the sealed Epstein files. This morning, a major legal blow to one of President Trump's most controversial executive orders. A federal appeals court has ruled his attempt to end birthright citizenship is unconstitutional, affirming a lower court's nationwide block. The majority opinion was blunt, saying in part, denying citizenship to many persons born in the United States is unconstitutional. We fully agree. The executive order would have denied citizenship to babies born in the U.S. if their parents were here illegally or even temporarily, such as tourists or students. The Ninth Circuit's decision does not end the legal fight, but it sets the stage for what could be a defining U.S. Supreme Court review of the 14th Amendment's citizenship clause. The same week, Columbia University suspended dozens of students over pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Comes word the Ivy League school will pay the Trump administration more than $200 million to settle a civil rights lawsuit. The agreement clears the way for Columbia to regain access to federal funding and grants cut off by the administration back in March. Columbia has been a national flashpoint for anti-Israel protests for 2 years in a row. The White House calls this the largest public settlement in an employment discrimination case in nearly 2 decades, resolving claims that Jewish employees were subjected to civil rights violations. In a statement, the university does not admit any wrongdoing, but says Jewish students and staff have faced, quote, painful and unacceptable incidents, and that reform is needed. On Truth Social, President Trump called the settlement historic, saying Jewish employees were unlawfully targeted and harassed. This morning, Brian Kohberger is waking up behind bars at an Idaho state prison, beginning the rest of his life in what may likely be solitary confinement. The transfer came just hours after an emotional sentencing hearing, nearly 3 years after Kohberger brutally murdered 4 University of Idaho students in their off-campus home. Victims' families took turns confronting him face to face, but it was Kaylee Gonsalves' sister, Olivia, who delivered the most searing takedown, not just of the crimes, but of the man himself.
The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud.
The court applauded at the end of her comments. Kohberger will serve 4 life sentences without parole, plus 10 more years. And for now, prison officials say his final placement is still being evaluated. No motive for the murders has ever been revealed. And when given the chance to speak in court, Kohberger would only say, "I respectfully decline." Finally this morning, a new safety push from Uber aimed at giving women more control over their rides. The rideshare company is rolling out a feature that lets women request women drivers, all through the app. Uber says it piloted the program called Women Preference in countries like Germany and France and received positive feedback. The new feature will launch soon in several U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Detroit. This comes as Uber faces a class action lawsuit alleging the company failed to protect riders and drivers from sexual assault. The suit includes more than 1,600 cases across nearly 30 states, with passengers claiming they were groped, attacked, or exposed to indecent conduct. By the way, I don't know if this is funny or embarrassing, but you know what? I've never ever ordered an Uber or a Lyft. When I travel to places like Buffalo or Chicago, I go the traditional cabbie route. I'll hail one down, I'll get a ride, and guess what? They're like super reliable. They'll give you a business card, so the next time you come back, you contact them. They've got names like Mo and Smiley. I don't know their last names, but they're reliable. They get me there on time, and you know what? It works. Old school, I guess. All right, before we head out, here's what's happening today. At 11 this morning, the man accused of trying to assassinate President Trump last fall will ask a Florida judge to let him represent himself at trial. At 12:30, the Memphis officers convicted in the fatal beating of Tyree Nichols return to court for sentencing proceedings. At 3 this afternoon, President Trump will sign a series of executive orders, though details have not yet been released. The following hour, Donald Trump will visit the Federal Reserve to examine renovation plans amid growing tensions with Chair Jerome Powell. Want more unbiased updates? Be sure to sign up for our newsletter. It's delivered right to your inbox each morning. Go to san.com/newsletters. Those are your unbiased updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. First on Friday, we like that. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.